Guys, a black swan event could be coming up that will surprise everyone. Okay, let's look into it and see what might be going on behind the scenes that no one is noticing. But we need to bring it to the public's attention and really show what Bitcoin is like, because this is aimed at Bitcoin and then the whole crypto market. Let's start. Grayscale then did the same thing that BlackRock did, which was to sell Ethereum. All of them sold ETH worth millions and millions of dollars. Why didn't anyone buy ETH? BlackRock brings in 490 Bitcoin, even though the price is still going up. That's the most important thing. Something is wrong when all of these asset managers start to sell, guys. They always buy, not just once and then not again. But this is the main thing that worries me about Bitcoin. Justin, two mining pools now hold more than 51% of the hash power, which means that Bitcoin is vulnerable to a 51% attack. Compare Bitcoin mining pools. Guys, take a look at what happened. Okay, so these are most of Bitcoin's mining pools. And here are the different shares that different companies own. Foundry, United States America owns 33%, Antpool owns 18%, VA Bitcoin 10%, Spider Pool 9%, F2 Pool 8%, and so on. In fact, the list goes on and on. Okay, but Foundry USA and the Antpool guys are the best. What is 33% plus 18%? It looks like just a little more than 51%. What does that mean? This means that if they really want to destroy the Bitcoin network, they can, right? Both of these groups will have to hit the network at the same time. Jacob King is here. Foundry USA is only getting 8 blocks in a row. Unfortunately, this is very scary. A lot of Bitcoin users I know are beginning to worry. I've been telling people for years that Bitcoin is too centralized and could be risky. The network and its price are controlled by a small group of miners and insiders. This is more proof. Foundry USA, this pool produced all of these blocks, okay? That is a problem. So does Bitcoin have a leader? Still, it looks like it. In a technical sense, I guess it's autonomous. Most likely these Bitcoin pools are owned by the same company which controls them all from behind the scenes. This is a problem though, because it means a 51% attack is now possible. They could change the details of transactions, stop confirmations, make fake coins, scan the chain, and do a lot more, right? It's said that this hasn't happened in 10 years. To give you some background, the last time this happened was 11 years ago. Wow. And back then, they lowered their hash rate on their own to ease worries about control. But people still got scared, and Bitcoin dropped over 87% in just a few months, making it one of the worst investments ever. It was one of the worst bear markets the company has ever seen. The 51% attack is very important because even David Schwartz was worried about it. You think it would be really hard for the NSA or the Chinese government to hit Bitcoin 51%? They can short Bitcoin to help pay for some of the bills. All they need is money. Yes? I might not know a lot about this subject, but if they were to destroy Bitcoin, the Bitcoin network guys were to blame. It's possible that they will also basically eat each other, right? These miners are mining Bitcoin to make money, right? If they fail, they will destroy themselves. They plan to keep doing it for a long time. If they do a 51% attack, they'll basically stab themselves in the chest, right? They are going to eat each other and themselves, so all it takes is money. But the thing is, even if they did that, they would still destroy themselves. Not really, because they could short Bitcoin to hell on the back end, which, as David Shore says, would cover some of those costs. Again, though, who would do something like that? Right now, there has to be a really bad person or group that will do something like this to Bitcoin to destroy it. This is also on the list. We can see how prices moved about a year ago at this point. There is no time frame shown. What do you see when you look at the Bitcoin chart? I'm not sure what this mark is, but let's say it's RSI, okay? Or a sign of momentum. The momentum sign made a pivot one, which lined up with that top. The second one is this turn. Third, this high. Fourth, we don't need to do that since the market is still rising. So it most likely went like this. I think the next high is up there, right? I'm not sure. What is that? A bearish split that has been going on for 10 years. One that lasts for 10 years and is bearish, okay? When the price is going up over time, but the sign is going down over time, it means that momentum is slowing down. Yes? That means that if this trend, this bearish divergence that has been going on for more than a decade were to play out, I think we'll at least go below. Was it 3K? I believe it was 3K if I'm not wrong. At the very least, I think we'll go down there, but I really think we'll go here. So I think that's somewhere around $100. I think it's funny that stories might be being made up, right? Which means that Bitcoin will likely reach hundreds of dollars in the near future. But that's when the crash takes place, right? That doesn't seem likely to happen right now. Then there's something even worse going on that you need to pay attention to. It all comes back to Michael Saylor. Okay, And this is where things start to get weird, creepy, or evil. Soon the Ponzi scheme will fall apart. Michael Saylor said that the strategy released today an update to the MSTR equity ATM guidance that will give us more freedom in putting our capital market strategy into action. As long as the XMNAV is above 4.0, the strategy will actively issue MSTR to buy Bitcoin. If the XMNAV is between 2.5 and 400, they'll still issue their shares, MSTR shares to buy Bitcoin. Then, if the NAV falls below 1M, strategy will think about giving credit to buyback MSTR. There's also a below 2.5x there. I don't know what this is because I'm not very good at stocks. It looks like this post basically says that people found out that Michael Saylor might be running a Ponzi scam, right? He's simply giving out more MSTR shares so that people can buy more Bitcoin. He's lowering the value for shareholders, guys. It's pretty much up to new buyers to buy their shares, but could it go on forever? Right now, they're trying to raise money by selling more MSTR shares on the market. The money is then used to buy more Bitcoin. Okay, but the problem is that there is a process of diluting going on. Michael Plan gives out more of its own shares. These people are selling more stock to buyers, but I'm not sure who will buy their stock. Of course, those who believe in Bitcoin, since Michael's plans use Bitcoin, that is, if Bitcoin is doing well, then MicroStrategy is too. I was going to look up MicroStrategy. Should we look for a stock? So this is pretty much the first time I've ever seen stock odds. It does look very unstable, doesn't it, when compared to Bitcoin? Sure, of course. I see. May we go back? We can't do that. We had to type it back. It looks like that's what's going on where you got it. They're putting out more MicroStrategy shares to get money to buy more Bitcoin, right? It's kind of like moving big guys around. I think I went from the stock market to the cryptocurrency market, right? I'm really paying attention to what's going on here for the first time with MicroStrategy. If you owned for example, 1% of the company before the MicroStrategy shares were issued, your ownership might drop to, say, 0.9 yuzen after more shares are issued, assuming you didn't buy more shares. So I guess the quantity grows, if I understand this right. I think that releasing more shares is part of their plan to raise That's right. It's all about hope here. In other words, he could now dilute owners whenever it was good for him. That's interesting. There is a good chance that these two crypto Ponzi schemes will fail soon. Let Nick say this. You guys have been hearing nothing about this, but I can't keep quiet any longer. What's going on with these crypto finance companies needs to be talked about. One in particular that I've already talked about is SharpLink Gaming. This one, MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor, is one I've been afraid to bring up. I'm now sure that Joe Lubin and Michael Saylor, along with all of their following and anyone else who is a big fan of this crypto treasury company scheme, are all involved in what could be one of the biggest crimes ever. From what I can tell, this is basically a huge Ponzi scheme. How many Bitcoin do they have? I believe they have more than 500 million Bitcoin. That's a problem because if their business fails, they'll have to run the plan themselves. What is going to happen with that Bitcoin? Do they need to sell their Bitcoin stack? Once more, something is not right here. No, Michael Saylor did make it clear in his most recent earnings call under what circumstances they would continue to do that. But the truth is that we are continuing to lose value and owners are losing everything. As of right now, if you got SharpLink Gaming as soon as it came out, you're down more than 50%. That's crazy. There will be lawsuits and lawsuits will be written about. This will be put down in history. I believe that Sam Bankman-Fried was a good person. When you look at how these finance companies are acting right now to compare, I'm sure a lot of haters will say something like, okay, I'm going to pause right there. We're going to keep going with this because I want to learn more about it. Since this is the first time I've really heard about it, sure, there is something very strange going on. So to sum up, I think you know that a 51% attack is now possible since the pools are controlled and that MicroStrategy is reducing the value of its own shares by buying more Bitcoin with public money. It is said, what will happen will be seen, but I won't finish if I still need to get ready. Anyways, if everything is fine, see you